I've always been a great reader. And one of the books that really influenced me was when I was 14 years old and I found a copy of Osa Martin's I Married Adventure. She had met Martin Johnson at a lecture series that he did. He was a wildlife photographer and flew a little plane in Africa. This was back in the 20s. And I thought to myself, that's what I want to do. And so back in 1956, when I was at UNC, my Pi Phi friend and his ATO friend got us together on a blind date. And they said, you guys will either love each other or hate each other. He was a newspaper reporter at that time for the Chapel Hill Weekly, and he was actually late for our blind date. And he came in with his white bucks and his trench coat, and be still my heart. I knew that this was the guy, and I would marry adventure with this one. He came home after we'd been married about a year and a half, and he said, how would you like to live in London? Well, I didn't even have to think twice. We sold all our furniture, got a big steamer trunk, packed it up, because we didn't know how long we'd be gone. He had gotten a job with United Press International in their London bureau. I learned to appreciate Gilbert and Sullivan, and the theater was wonderful. For 80 cents, you could go to live London theater. So we saw everything, including My Fair Lady with the original cast. We took a trip to a vacation to Paris, and Chuck and I looked at each other. We both spoke a little French and said, this is it. And sure enough, 6 months later, United Press sent us to the bureau in Paris. We lived on a little street called the Rue de Passy. It was in the 16th, the 16e arrondissement, and it was a market street. It was a market street full of wonderful little shops, and when we get off the metro, both of us worked, we'd walk down this market street and see cheese in one little store, bread in another, a épicerie in another where they sold gingerbread. And I worked in the USO on the Champs-Élysées. I got to look out the windows and see all the dignitaries coming by to the tomb of the unknown soldier. We used to take a lot of trips. That was fun. We always took the train. We had no car. And one was to Spain. We went to Madrid and met up with a fellow UPIer who said, well, you need to go to a bullfight. And we did. It was really not something I totally enjoyed, but what I did enjoy was who was sitting 2 rows in front of me, and it was Ernest Hemingway. And he was there writing a story on bullfighting, as a matter of fact. That afternoon, after the bullfight was over, we went to the Ritz Hotel in Madrid for a drink. This was the very plush hotel. We couldn't stay there, we couldn't afford it, but we went for a drink. And at the next table, Ava Gardner. It did seem like we were in a storybook affair. At the end of our wonderful time in France, I could have lived in Europe all my life. And I told Chuck that. And he said, no, he really wanted to run a major daily and in the US. And to do that, he had to go home. So I understood that, and we did go home. We were scheduled, UPI was sending us to Budapest, and that never happened. We took the Liberté, a wonderful French liner, home. Back then, people traveled by ship, and it took 7 days. When we got to America, I went out on the deck to see the Statue of Liberty, one of the most thrilling sights. And there was a photographer for the New York Daily News. He was there to interview and photograph a famous opera singer who was coming in. And he saw me there it was very breezy, and he talked to Chuck, and he said, do you mind if I photograph your wife? And he said to me, turn up the collar of your coat. And so I did. He took a picture, and the next day in the Daily News, when they reported on who had come in that day, this was the picture that was shown. I was a 26-year-old nobody, and they never put the opera singer on. And just so Chuck doesn't feel neglected, this is Chuck at the same age. Not bad.